secreto, le pregunta muy patiently. Para encontrar este momento ha pasado mucho tiempo y ya está aquí. Solo dime que sí, que nunca lo vas a decir. Acércate un poquito, bien calladito, te quiero así. Y el horror, esconderlo, lo peor, su juventud. Una bomba estalla, desintegra murallas. El secreto que mata, solo mata si lo callas. Puedes escuchar mi secreto, me pregunta muy nervously. Quiero que me creas y aunque sé que no quisieras, te lo tengo que compartir. El tiempo ha pasado y sigo aterrado. No quiero herirte, pero no puedo mentirte, sufre así. El horror, esconderlo, lo peor, su juventud. Una bomba estalla, desintegra murallas. El secreto que mata, solo mata si lo callas. Puedes guardar un secreto. Puedes guardar un secreto. Puedes guardar un secreto. Y el horror, esconderlo, lo peor, su juventud. Una bomba estalla, desintegra murallas. El silencio que mata, solo mata si lo callas. Puedes guardar un secreto. Puedes guardar un secreto. Puedes guardar un secreto.
Welcome, everybody. It's Rappin' with Rapscallions, episode 44, and we're rapping with a very special person today, Monalisa Arias. She is like the coolest person I ever met in my whole life. Besides the guy sitting next to me, my 0.5 on the Rapscallions, Jose Mesquita, aka Joe. Joe, how you doing, brother?
What's up, HB? Good to be here. So excited. Episode 44, man. That's a milestone. That is a milestone.
It is. It's a big one. Big time. We're not
Big
joking
time.
anymore.
Nah, man. That's why we got a big time guest for the big time show. Monalisa Arias, dude. I agree. I'm so excited. Mo's excited too. He's barking in the background in anticipation for everything that we're going to talk about. Yo. Big times. We
got to start off before we get to the cool part of the show. We got to do the Rappin' with Rapscallions weekly wrap up. Say that 10 times fast.
Say it one more time.
Rappin' with Rapscallions weekly wrap up.
Rappin' with Rapscallions weekly wrap up. That has 2 R's and 2 W's.
Well done. Let's have a spelling bee. Hey, guess who has some merch? Check it out.
Oh, snap. Merch Scallions.
You can get this at PanamaRP.com. That's full of plosives. PanamaRP.com. That has all the links to our social medias. If you want to watch us on Insta, you got a little button there. If you want to watch us on the Facebook, there's a Facebook button there. If you want to watch us on YouTube, it'll take you straight to our YouTube channel. And who's our biggest fan in the whole galaxy?
Who's our biggest fan in the whole galaxy?
The Mars Rover.
Monalisa Mars Rover.
All right, so we've got her tuned in. She's in the background, but she's not live yet. I got to add her to the feed. We're going to do our weekly Rappin' with Rapscallion weekly wrap up while she's getting set up. And then we'll bring her in. So, Joe, tell us about your week before we bring Monalisa into the show.
Yeah, dude. It's been a heavy week, man. To be honest, I have felt heavy this week. It has been busy doing work type stuff. So I was happy when Friday came around. It was really good when Friday came around. But overall, just staying busy. We got projects that we got going on in the background. HB Rapscallions, can't stop, won't stop. So we're just doing all that, keeping it moving, man. How about you? Were in the city and I wasn't able to see you, and that made me so sad.
Yeah,
So sad.
I was in the city, had some business to do. I
Business.
almost they called me to do a commercial, but then in the end, they didn't call me to do the commercial. So anyway, I was in the city. I got some stuff done. What was my week like? Well, I was kind of chilling out, but we have a lot of passings this week. So let's mention those before we bring Monalisa on. I'm sure she has a lot of input on the people who passed on.
True that. Indeed. It has been a sad week, man. Sad week in that respect, for sure. We lost two very great, very wonderful people. Of course, our dear friend, Tom Salucci, passed away. And of course, another dear friend, great director, Bruce Quinn, also passed away this week. Yeah. So, in fact, very sad. Very sad.
Very sad. So, just to let you guys know, we know Tom Salucci from the Theater Guild. Very kind person, always full of great stories. Anytime I sat down to talk with him, it was like an hour would go by. You wouldn't even know it. You're just taken away in these stories. And
that's right.
And for those of you who don't know Bruce Quinn, the guy is a hero to everyone in the theater world of Panama.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
In front of and behind the curtain. He put on 144 productions in his career.
Incredible.
Many of them in the Theater Guild, and he is accredited as being solely responsible for making musicals in Panama. Like, he's the one that kind of brought that up and about for everyone.
Look at that, man.
So Ruben Blades wrote a dedication to him, which he started off saying is like, this Zonian has been a greater input to the culture of Panama than any of the governments or any of our legislators combined. So actually Ruben Blades started, I think it was in the Theater Guild with Bruce. So that's a little toast to those two gents.
That's right.
Two gents, yeah.
That's right.
All right, so we got to bring in our next guest because she is also a huge influence for me in the theater world and to many people.
True that.
So without further ado, I think I need to build her up a little bit. One of the coolest people I know. I've worked with her in the theater. I've worked with her professionally. We've done voiceover. We've done training videos together. She coached me on how to do combat on stage.
Combat on stage? What? She taught you to punch me on stage in the gut.
That's right. It was like, cuckoo.
Damn.
So not only is it a great pleasure to have her on from a professional point of view, but also from a personal point of view, one of my favorite people in the whole world. Ladies and gentlemen, let me press the button and bring on Monalisa Arias.
Push the button.
There she is. There she is.
Hey, you guys, what's up?
Thank you so much for joining us.
You guys are so sweet. What a build-up. Damn. I feel like I need to be running through it's like a stadium.
And then you bust through the paper, and then you knock over the mascot. You just push the mascot over. I love it. That's the type of energy that I was taught by Monalisa to bring to everything. You got to bring that energy.
Aww. Yay. Hearts.
Very true.
Hearts.
I love it. Yes, super hearts.
Yes, these ones that I think are famous in Korea. Is it Korea?
I think so.
Hearts.
Yeah.
And
then also applause.
And applause and the jazz hands.
Yes.
Jazz. So let's see.
Thanks for having me on, you guys. It's so cool. You guys have been rapping. You've been scallions, rapscallions, and it's my first time on the show, so I'm so excited. Thanks for having me on.
No, we're very excited to have you on. I mean, just to go through a couple bullet points. And there's too many to do quickly, but just the people listening out there. Musician. She just dropped a song. That's what you were listening to is Monalisa and Rodrigo. That's the intro song that you just heard. Amazing, you know. I know that you guys got caught by that groove, but you need to listen to the lyrics. We're going to talk about that too. She is a director of theater. She has directed Joe and I. I worked with her on big productions, and this lady is cool, man. She's
cool.
a fight choreographer. You know what? Enough with the bullet points. Let's jump right in.
Awesome.
So, let's you know what? We were going to bring you right into the Fan Scallion. Why don't you tell us about your weekly wrap up?
How are you doing?
Sure thing. Well, it's been an interestingly busy week. You don't really realize how much goes into a song launch until you do a few of them, and it's like it's almost incredibly anticlimactic because it's like it's so much effort, and it's like you guys know when we're working on a show, if it's a theater show, you ramp up and you've got dress rehearsals, and then you open and you've got audience, and then the show's open. But then it's like you write this song, and then you fine tune it. Rodrigo and I fine tuned it. Then we sat down, I demoed it. Then we presented it to the producer, recorded it, fine tuned it. Do all of the legwork to get it up and running. Yeah. Submit it to the Latin Grammys for this year. So cross the fingers.
Oh snap!
So it's you do all of that, and then you have to. You guys know you're into content creation. You have to create an incredible amount of content that accompanies this one piece of art. There's a whole bunch of other content, other artwork that goes around it, and other artists that are collabing with you to create these pieces of art, and then you launch it to the interwebs, and it's like, then it's out, and then it's all from home.
Right.
It's all from home, no doubt.
There's no instant reaction, right?
Well, I mean, there is in the sense that some people start writing you back right away, like, oh, it's great, I love it, and they start to, post on stories, and that's ideally what we want. We want the song and the message to get out there. But then it's, in the world of live shows where you're used to going out on stage, and when you get that first laugh of the audience, that there's your feedback or the first reaction. Here, it's like I feel like I'm just like keeled over the computer, asleep after dozens of sleepless nights, like just finishing content, videos, pictures, divs, vertical video, horizontal video. It's and it's done, and then it's like it's
okay, now what do we do?
Now what? It's like, oh, we got to keep going. But there's a bit of a, and I'm sure you guys can relate that there's a little bit of you hit kind of a creative wall. It's just it's from tiredness. It's from exhaustion. We're just like, I have to keep going. Oh,
what's next? What's
next? Right. So there's a little bit of that. And it's of course when you feel that you've got, this one's a little bit more personal for me. So when there's that personal attachment, that emotional attachment to the piece that goes out, then it's like there's a vulnerability aspect to it that is
for sure,
that's different. And then it's like you kind of want to cocoon in, but no, you want to be vulnerable. You can't. And so it's
and this set is it out and then be open, right?
Yeah, be open. And this is with us being relatively, still coming into the scene in terms of like what kind of following that we have, what kind of online digital presence that we have, how many people are listening to us. It's steadily growing. We're definitely way further along than we were when we obviously started, but we're not like, an artist that's way further along putting out a piece that's this personal. Like there's still a degree of anonymity or privacy that I still get to enjoy. And so if it's this vulnerable feeling from this feeling of privacy, I can only imagine how it will feel later on when I'm gigantically famous, whatever.
When we're gigantically famous.
That's right. It's inevitable.
Monalisa and Rodrigo winning Grammys, Rapscallions winning Oscars. Who knows?
Oscars, podcast of the year.
Emmys. Webbies.
Oh, I want to
Webbies. Me too, man. Spider-Man will give that one to us.
Oh,
I like it.
Cool.
That's right.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh.
Well, I've got your Instagram handle on there. That's at Monalisa.Arias. you can keep up with her there. I need to click another button because we want to put the one where it's Monalisa and Rodrigo, so the people out there can get your follow finger out and start
Yeah,
clicking
man.
buttons.
Yeah. Boom.
Start clicking buttons, guys.
Follow,
Like,
play, save
zoom.
to playlists. Play, save, share.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Isn't it so crazy?
Monalisa
Every
y
piece of
Rodrigo.
content that you see online, especially on YouTube, if you like, follow, subscribe, and share. And it's like everyone's saying this.
Yeah.
It becomes a calling card. Everybody has to do it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, hey guys, what's up?
You know what to do. Oh, very true, man. Very true. And you guys are also on Spotify as
Yes.
Monalisa and Rodrigo, which is pretty cool. So you guys can also like, click, follow on Spotify and listen to
Add
their
that to your
tunes,
playlist.
man. Add that to your playlist, man.
That's right.
Monalisa,
Yes.
question for you, because
Yes.
we know us rapscallions, we love. And we know that you recently got engaged.
Yes.
So tell us about that experience, man. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Congratulations.
guys. And it's
Raise
so,
the roof.
it's so cool to be talking about this to you two gents, because you're both married, right? It's you know what it's like to ask the lady in your life how to marry you, and that was she and I, Domi and I, had talked about potentially if we ever got married that I would be the one to ask, but this was like years ago. We hadn't touched upon the subject ever since.
Right.
And then in December, it's at in the middle of the pandemic, just kind of kept feeling we would look at each other. It all happened because I got a couch. I got us a couch.
Oh,
Nice.
this is a nice
Perfect
intro
sign.
story. I like this.
We've been without a couch. We've been sans couch for almost the entirety of our relationship. There was no couch in our apartment, and I just had it. I was like, I'm sick of not having somewhere to sit other than the dining room table. And I was like, we need a couch. But it's like, yeah, I found this amazing deal on this couch, and it was like our Christmas present, this couch. And so we would sit on this couch, and it was like Christmas came because of this couch. And so she and I would look at each other from across the couch and starting to feel a bit of a deeper feeling. Exactly. Just like that, Joe. Just like that. And it was like, we started feeling kind of flutters of something deeper. Like, I think kind of want to just go, marry me. And then it was like,
Can't do it.
Just don't blurt it like that. You're just not going to blurt it like that.
Can't just blurt it out.
You can't just blurt it out. And then at another point, she and I went to Parque Omar when we could all finally go out a little bit during the day. And there's like a point that you can kind of wend your way, kind of hop over rocks and kind of be at this point a little bit beyond the park in Baitilla, and it's a beautiful view and the sea. And I kind of looked at her and I almost vomited it again. And I was like, no. Like, it was like, no, this needs to be I want it to be a special moment. I want to prep it. So then it's like, okay, I want to have a ring. How am I going to do that? Like, how am I going to do that? Because gold rings are not cheap, and I wanted to get her a gold ring. And then it's like, how do you plan it? The proposal was going to be here in the apartment. It was going to be here. And the original idea was her mother is a baker. She bakes cakes, and her mom sometimes comes over, and Domi takes pictures of her cakes. And so to help her mom with her social media cakery, if you will.
Yes.
Her bakery cakery. And so my original plan was, okay, her mom's going to come over with the cake. We're going to be doing production to the cake, taking pictures of the cake. And then I'm going to take the cake. I'm going to hide the ring in it. And then Domi's going to be taking pictures of the cake. And then I kneel. And then all of a sudden, there's the ring in the cake. And then I asked her to marry me. But then that didn't work out because another mutual friend of ours asked us to go to Toboga. She asked us for a weekend getaway. And for us, it's always so hard to get out of the city, go to the beach. And it's just leaving the city is the thing we want to do the most and get to do the least of. So I was like, I got to grab onto that opportunity, and that's where the proposal is going to happen. So then I enlisted our friend Hidemi Pacheco, who's the owner of Planticeria restaurant, cafe, and deli. It's a vegan place because we're both vegan. And she just went crazy. She's like, she got this food. She planned secrecy that I did not even know of. And when we got there, it was on a Friday. I had this ring in the bag, and I was like, okay, we're going to go hit the beach in the afternoon. I I gotta hold this in until then. And then Domi was like, why are you acting so weird? And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it's just really hot. It's just hot.
Yeah. It's like,
It's
oh my
tropical
God.
weather. Ugh.
The bag's gonna fall in the ocean. A bird's gonna carry the ring. You know, it's like
To the point that I don't know what kind of leadership we have here at the Rapscallions, but I will share that we partook of the ganja, and I don't usually partake of the ganja, but I took like literally 2 puffs of this ganja to try to fucking calm down, and my body was just not computing very well, and then I started feeling a tickle in my throat, and then I go, it's Hidemi and Domi, and I sit down. We sit down on the couch, and I'm like, guys, so you know, I think I'm going into anaphylactic shock.
What?
I think my throat's closing up. I think
Oh no.
my tongue feels swollen. And Hidemi was just looking at me like I think Mona's just flipping the hell out that she's about to propose. And then lo and behold, I was like, oh, I think it's the weed. And they were all like, it's the weed. And then I was like, and then we needed to take like an hour-long hike to get to this beach because at that point you still weren't allowed to go to the beach. So we took an hour-long hike, and this hour-long hike was also with Adrian Benedetti. I'm sure you guys know him.
yes,
Because
Master Trailblazer.
No doubt.
Master Trailblazer. He'd figured out where the beach was. Blah 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 blue blue, and he's Hidemi's boyfriend. So you know we're all filing in single line towards this beach, and I'm in the back. And then Domi's in the front, and I hear Domi say, "Babe, está bien." Y yo dije, "Sí." And then Adrian, I swear to God, he turns around, he looks at me, he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, because he knew it was coming. That dude's been married, he's been divorced, he knows what it's like to propose. So I was just like, you know, it's like this whole buildup. We go into the rocks, and we go into the ocean, and then he's like looking at me. She's like, "How's it gonna happen?" And I was like, we're going to swim and then come back out, and then it's just going to happen. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
And it's going to happen. So I'd hidden the ring in my bag, and I had written her a song 3-4 years ago that we put in our second album, and it's called Di Que Si, which is Say Yes. And I was like, I want to sing her this song, which is written for her, which is basically asking her to marry me. At the time, I was just like kind of fictitious. I was using her as a muse, but it was just fictitious asking somebody that you love to marry you. And then I was like, okay, here I am about to ask her, who I wrote the song for, to marry me. And so I got to break out into song, which is really interesting in musicals, but in real life, you don't break out into song. So I was like, I started singing. This is so awkward.
Oh my God.
I got to break out into song. This is how I'm going to start it. And so I just kind of looked away from her, and I started kind of humming the song and singing it to her. And then I started turning towards her, and she was like, "What are you doing?" and I kept singing to her, and I'd snuck the ring and I'd put it in my bikini bottom. And when the time came, I just kind of, I took out the ring, and she kind of fell to the ground to her knees, and then I met her. And I opened the box, and then she said, "Yes, bitches." And then lo and behold, our friend Hidemi had planned more secrecy, and she had gotten a secret kombucha made of Domi and I. And this illustration is an illustration Domi made, that because she's an illustrator, she's an artist, and she draws. That's digital drawing, and she put us on the couch. This is the couch that I'm telling you all about, that like we finally got the couch, and here we all happy with our 3 puppy children on the couch.
Aww.
And Domi, Mona, and because this says Desayuno Chino forever, because the very first thing that I asked her, which is also a bit of it is inscribed in her ring, is "Te atreverías a desayunar chino conmigo?" Because it was like I was first asking her, and I was like, how am I going to ask this woman out? "Oye, ¿te atreves a desayunar chino conmigo?" And I was like, boom. She thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. Do you dare to have Chinese breakfast with me? This silly terminology. But then the really cute thing about this, the expiration date is nunca.
Nice.
Love kombucha.
Nice. Oh my gosh. That is amazing.
So then, of course, setup. It's like, and then it was like I took some kind of weird upper for the next 2 days because I could not come down. I was like, I proposed. She said yes. Oh shit, am I better than everyone because someone loves me and we are engaged? I think I'm better than you are. You know, I don't know what what getting engaged? It's like it was a super high, and then of course it's the crash after because you're like, okay, now I need to execute. How do I execute a wedding? How do I execute? So it's been awesome. It's been awesome so far. We definitely feel that it's made a difference. It feels different once you get engaged. There's some weird, I don't know, switch that's flipped.
A cosmic line has been crossed or something. Now you're
something like that.
You've made
now
it
it feels more committed. Feels more committed, and now she's on the lookout for a ring for me because I also want a ring, and she wants to give me one, and I think it will feel different for me as well once I get the ring on because it'll. Yeah. She's got, and you guys, it's like I don't know what y'all's story was like, but it's like you gotta keep that quiet. Like, how do you tell the person that you're closest to that you're? How do you not tell her you're gonna propose? Like.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Ultimate irony, right?
Crazy.
Your biggest lie before you take the biggest commitment.
Yeah.
Like let me conceal this.
And yet you still have that slight doubt in your head. Like, what if she says no?
Exactly. And
even though it's not going to happen, but you're like, what if she?
And that's a great Joe. That's a great point to bring up. I was ready for her to say no. I was like, if she says no. Hey, we just keep dating, and she gets a pretty ring because she's expressed that she wanted a gold ring. I just give her a present. We keep dating because I was like, why should you, if you don't want to commit to marriage, why should your relationship? It's like these terrible, all of this Hollywood movies built on. You have to propose. She has to say yes, and then it's happily ever after. And if they say no, or if you don't propose, then it's verguero, and then it's the relationship ends. Why? That's not.
My dad asked my mom 3 times. First 2 times.
3 times?
No.
Wow.
He said no.
She said no. They said the rock met the immovable force. What is it called? But the 3rd time, he's like, "This is the last time I'm gonna ask you. If you say no, if you say yes, I can promise you'll never have a dull day for the rest of your life." She said yes, finally.
That's tenacity. Funny. Why did she say no?
Yeah.
She said that she would never marry a Zonian.
Oh snap.
Wow.
But we have some positive shout outs here. Allison Patrick's tuned in. She says, congratulations.
Oh.
She's sending hearts to your betrothal.
Oh, thank you.
And we have on the Instagram, we have Carina, who's super happy you got a couch. She said this is awesome. Kelly says and then Carina says yeah, yes. You know how people say yes with the A.
That's awesome.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is too cool, man. Too cool. But I totally understand because
how did you guys do? Like, how long did I planned it for nearly 2 months. How long did you what was it like for you guys? Because it's like go and you gotta buy a ring. You buy a ring and then you keep it secret, keep it safe. Like Gandalf with the one ring and then porqueria. But like, how did you guys do?
Well, it was tough, but you have to make that investment. Speaking of investments, I need to bring up our sponsor. Sorry for the segue. Sorry. Our sponsor is Luke Robertson. And if you want to know the right time to start investing, the sooner the better, people. Let me bring that graphic up.
Now.
If you wait just 3 years, you'll see a difference on your IRAs. You don't want to see a difference. And if you're saving for retirement, if you want to know how much you have to spend every year until you're 60 years old, 65 years old, until you have $1 million, take a look at this graphic. If you start saving at age 25, your monthly investment is going to be $405.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. But if you wait till you're 40, your monthly investment is going to be $1,277. So the right time to invest is now. If you don't know how to take that first step, contact Luke Robertson at Edward Jones. You can call him at 757-481-0023. Hit him up at luke.robertson@edwardjones.com. He helped us with our merch, and when we get our millions, when we win our Webbies, he's going to help us with our tons of cash. So big shout out to Luke Robertson over at Edward Jones. He's been a friend of mine since birth. And if you don't know who he is, scroll down. He was on the show and we interviewed him because he flew supersonic fighter jets. My goodness.
Man, HB, if the government can trust him with supersonic jets, then you can trust him with your money. Enough
That's
said.
the best tagline ever.
Yeah.
The best
Enough
acronym
said.
ever.
Yeah. So,
Enough said.
like you said, rings are expensive.
Yeah,
So
man.
you got to put a lot of thought into that. If there was a ring advisor, we probably should have called him. But if you needed a financial advisor, call Luke Robertson. Okay.
True
I'm
that.
gonna call
True
him
that.
because it's just big on my mind, y'all. It's I had an
Retirement.
IRA, it had to go to get out of debt, and I'm back in debt, and it's just like it just.
Mhm.
As an artist, it's a particular challenge, as you guys I'm sure know as well. But it's just everywhere that I see, it's like, everyone says like before you invest, you have to get rid of debt, and then it's like it's just all. The world is a circus that's on fire.
Yes.
I'm never gonna invest,
Call Luke. Give Luke a call.
I'm gonna call
And he'll be
him.
like, hey, reference rapscallions. I'm a
Reference
famscallion
rapscallions.
now. You're both famscallions. So
That's right, man.
Scallions?
That's right,
I'm a
man.
fan
It's a family.
scallion.
It's a family. Like in Fast and Furious, we're family.
All right.
Yeah.
No, I'm still listening. I'm going to take 10 seconds to put a fan on me because I don't know if it's all this talk about wedding or investing that it's very warm.
Yeah, it's adrenaline. It's adrenaline.
It's adrenaline, man. It's all happening, Mona Lisa. It's all
It's all
happening.
happening. Wedding and then investment for future. But I need money for art. So that's how do I do? Anyways. Okay, the fan is on.
No,
Whew.
but let me tell you something. I actually proposed to Kelly in Taboga as well.
You're kidding.
Yeah, true story.
Wow.
And that was nerve-wracking because I had the ring in my duffel bag. And when we were on the ferry, I was holding onto the duffel bag for dear life. And then Kelly's like, come with me. Let's go look at the scenery from the side of the boat, whatever. And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. This duffel bag is my life. It's staying with me forever. It was hard, man. It was hard.
That's hard. That's
My
hard.
brother-in-law had a like he brought my sister down to Panama and they had their flight, and in order for her not to find the ring, he had to put it in his check-on luggage, and the luggage got lost.
No
and
way.
He had to keep his blood pressure down the whole time.
Poor guy.
The guy, his veins are popping out, and I distracted my sister as much as I could, and so he got his bags back. So, but then they get to the Gamboa Resort, and their reservation got screwed up because he wanted to propose on the gondola over the Rainforest Resort.
Right.
They stopped running the gondola. So then he was like, hey, let's just go to Santa Clara Beach. And he's like, okay, I'm going to rent a cabin on the beach, and then we'll figure it out from there. So that's what he had to improvise the whole way. And then the guy was red before he even got sunburned by this Panama sun.
And your sister never found out. She was never like, hey, you're acting kind of weird.
Academy Award winning.
He's getting a Webby. He's getting a Webby.
He is getting a Webby. Jeez Louise, man. Good effort.
That is funny, y'all. Wow.
On my own behalf, I totally jumped the gun. We had a trip planned to Germany, and I was going to ask my father-in-law for his approval, but I couldn't wait, man.
Hey, so, was like,
so we live in Costco. So I have my mother's ring, and she gave it to me before she passed away.
It's beautiful,
man. Find the right person, use this ring. So we went to the Paseo Esteban, whatever it's called, Huertas, there in Casco Viejo, and that was before the Cinta Costera. So we sat there, and there's the Veraneras and the Bougainvillas. We're looking out over the city, and I asked her to marry me. She said yes, and the ring didn't have to be resized at all. It fit perfectly.
Nice, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That is meant to be.
Everything happened the way it should.
For sure, man.
Wow. In my case, I did not ask. I did not speak to her father about it. I spoke to her mother about it, and I didn't ask for anything. I informed her.
Oh man! You're like, this is happening.
This is happening.
She's
not anyone's to ask for, and then it was funny because when we told in Taboga, we called her dad and told him, and then he called me. I want to say the next day or 2 days later. He's like, you, tú no me pediste, pra! And I was like, I just laughed. I was like, He's like, I know, you wait, blah, pa. He just wanted to
Short circuited.
to huff and puff and short circuited it. I thought it was so funny.
Oh
I
man.
thought it was so funny.
That's true.
Times
That's
are changing, y'all. Times are
It's a good
changing.
Yeah.
comparison. You know, like you're right. Who is he to be asked for marriage? You know, so
It's a tradition.
True
it's
story.
tradition
Man.
that we stick to. That you know we need to bring out and talk about so that you know people can not be so upset and get short circuited like that. You know.
Hey man, we have
Yeah.
enough things to be upset about in life than to be
That's
upset about happy stuff.
Exactly.
Love
But
is
it's
love.
you don't realize how deep-seated tradition is until you start. So like I researched proposals before I did it, and then it's like heterosexual proposals, the meaning of it all, same-sex proposals, what can you keep, what do you want, and then it was like asking of a hand and the, you know, if anyone objects, does that mean at the wedding you're like, who's gonna object? Who cares? Who cares what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody objects. You
What about
know?
dowry?
Shoot. Huh?
You should have
Seriously.
you should have called him back. Like, where's my dowry?
Where's my dowry?
Give me my dowry.
Yeah.
Where's my dowry? Yeah, so it's super interesting. Oh, did you guys know one of the most interesting things I found? And I was like, man, they're making money off of all of these guys who were proposing. It's there is a proposal sock. There's a sock and a proposal ring box, which is super thin. Okay, so that you put the ring so that it's not a fat box. It's super thin. Okay, you open it, it's tiny. You put the ring in, and then there's a special sock with a pocket for that. Man, it's like $20. It's like the sock is $20, and then the thing is like $15 up. Man, I was like, the proposal sock.
No.
The proposal side. Yeah.
We should start selling 1HB on PanamaRP.com.
Rapscallion.
Rapscallion
Rapscallion.
proposal sock.
Yeah.
Like,
This is a
wow.
proposal bag. You
There
can
you
keep
go.
your ring
It's a
in this
proposal.
bag,
Keep it,
and then you pull it out.
and no one
Very
will know what's in
simple.
there.
No one will know it's in there.
Beautiful. I love it. Marketing 101 going on right here.
Totally.
That's right.
Oh gosh.
We've got a lot
I
of
love it,
stuff to
man.
cover. I love
Let's-
love is
let's-
love. Let's toast to
Let's
that.
love.
But we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Dude,
Let's
let's take
do
it
it.
back to the beginning, man. Let's take it back to the beginning, man. Back to the beginning, Mona Lisa. We want to know, when did you start making this move into the arts? Were you always very artistic from the beginning? Was there a moment in your life when you were like, yo, arts are my thing. Let's get it. How did it happen?
What a sweet question, Joe. Thank you.
did
It
it
happened when I
happen?
was super small. It was a cousin of mine taught me drums when I started teaching me drums. I think when I was like 7 or 8.
What?
He would play drums. He played drums. His name's Héctor Eduardo Varela, and he would play drums in several bands in Panama. And he would I'm talking about 70s, 80s. He was playing drums for big acts that would come through. And so he had a drum kit in his apartment. He taught me. The first song I learned on drums was "Smells Like Teen Spirit."
Nice. Damn.
But he started teaching me drums, and I started learning piano at age 8. And somehow when I was 4 or 5, there's pictures of me with a hairbrush, but it's a microphone hairbrush. So I don't know. My grandfather was a poet, Jorge Enrique de Casa y Casa. So it's like, and then my grandmother also wrote poetry. So it was just, I think it was in the artistic family vein. And so I don't know how it was reflected in me, but I started with music pretty early on, and with acting as well, and whatever school project there was, and I was an only kid, so I was always Good Times, Amen, Star Trek, One Day at a Time, all of these like US series that I would watch on Channel 8 SEN, and then I would enact these episodes all on my own in my room. So I would have these one-person shows when I
Wow,
was
that's
small.
sweet.
So I feel like I grew up doing it, and then I was part of a church choir for almost 7 years.
Wow.
Coro Santuario Nacional every Sunday evening, because my aunt, Héctor Eduardo's mother, Gladys, was part of that choir, and that's where like so many musicians and singers cut their teeth. It's like years in choir, you're just doing it over and over and over again. I had no idea of the church service. All I knew is I play now, I play now, I play now, or I play now. I'm like, oh, do I play? I don't play. Okay, and the priest was like, wah, 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 and I play now, I play. But it's years of doing that, and I knew that I wanted to go study performing arts. And rumor has it that my father had to convince my mother to allow me to do this because she wanted me to go a more traditional route. But he convinced her. He's like, she's going to be an artist. We have to support her. And she was like, okay, that's cool, but it'd be good if she can study something else. So when I went to study in the U.S., I went to the College of William and Mary, and I studied theater, but I also studied psychology. So it's and it's funnily enough, my mother's also a psychologist, and also handily enough, that does go hand in hand with theater and with acting.
For sure,
So
man. Wow.
I was like, it's something else, but I'm still doing what I want. And then I studied acting conservatory in London, and then started being a professional actor in the DC area. I toured all throughout the U.S. for 2 years with a theater for young audiences company called Theater 4, and went to New York to audition for a few things, went to Chicago to audition for a few things, and I was like, where am I going to live? Chicago's very cold. So is New York. DC, there was some Panamanians there that I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can have like a base community here. And I wound up staying in DC. I wanted to stay in DC for 2 years, then moved to LA, but I just kept getting, thankfully, work there, and I didn't have the gumption to do that move. So I stayed working there until when I moved back here to Panama in 2013, 2014. So that it's from when I was really young. It just, I was bit by the bug.
Yeah.
There's like, I don't know. It's like the first time you go out for some school nutcracker thing, or fourth grade in Cinderella, and it's just like, you get in front of an audience and it's like crack. I don't know what it is. It's about that first energy exchange.
The adrenaline, all that. Yeah.
There's something about that adrenaline, right? And so that's what gets you in. That's what gets you in. That passion is what gets you in. And then it's just, I think it's a little crazy that keeps you in, because it's like, I'm an actor, an acting coach, but I'm also a musician. So it's like, I'm doing both of these things instead of like, oh, I'm an artist, but then maybe I bring in some steady money some other way. It's like, or I have another career. No, it's like, let me do acting and music. And it's like the acting almost sometimes feeds the music. I'm like, what do I make with that? What do I make with theater and with coaching? Oh, I'm going to put it into the song. So it's like,
right.
You have to be a little bit like horses with blinders to stay in this business, because it does not make any logical sense from an actual life economic point of view. It doesn't make any sense. So you need a little bit of that, little touch of that, like, I'm doing this anyways, like a bit of a pit bull with a bow, like, I'm not letting go. He's swinging from the freaking tronco, but he's not letting go. Dog's not letting go.
Tenacity.
Takes a little bit of that. Takes a little bit of that.
I want to take a vote of people listening out there. If we can change your last name to Monalisa Arias, because you just got the whole arts covered. My goodness.
Seriously.
Oh man, that's funny.
It's crazy.
It's
but I think it's paid off. I think
live, man. Amazing.
Yeah, man, your tenacity has paid off because you're super well respected, man, and like every single aspect of the arts that I can think of.
That's so sweet to hear, Joe, because it's like when you're in it, like it doesn't really, it's now that I'm starting to feel truly powerful in the voice that I bring and in the disciplines that I cover, because when I was coming up, everyone without doubt, every professional that I spoke to said, Monalisa, you do too many things, you have to pick one. Are you an actor or are you a musician? Which one are you going to pick? You got to do one.
Wow.
You do one well. I mean, when you go to the doctor, are you going to go to a specialist or do you want to just go to a doctor that sees everything? And I'm like, it's to me, it's all of the arts that I get to have a privilege to practice are all different sides of the same coin, or they're slightly different expressions of the same thing, which is just some dogged pursuit of authenticity and truth. That's all it is.
And creation, like expressing your creativity and passions and stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
And you've been able to do it in different areas. So
it's been, people used to say jack of all trades, master of none. And I felt that way for a long time, but at the same time, it feels like to be an art, I feel I'm an artist, because I'm not a guitarist, but I play guitar. I'm not a singer, but I sing. I'm an actor. That's what I really feel like the strongest in, because it's like, that's what That's what I studied. It's what I am. It's like you play a role in whatever it is that you're doing. Even as a musician, I play a role. I'm gonna believe that I'm the best cajon player now, even though I may not have all the chops that everybody else, just a percussionist, has. But I'm a pretend. Fake it till you make it. So it's like you act your way. I access everything through what role am I playing. If I'm coaching, that's the role that I'm playing. If I'm directing, that's the role that I'm playing. And what needs to be fulfilled in each role, right? So it's like, as artist, I don't need to know all of music theory. I need to know enough chords to express, and then continue to learn about each craft to grow in each one. So it's cool because it's never ending how much you can learn, and you realize the more you know, the less you know. But at the same time, it's like, finally, after 25 years, it's like I'm finally starting to feel like enough. And that's crazy because I didn't realize how much there's kind of crazy gender kind of brainwashing that happens when you grow up. And now it's like as I dismantle it, it's like, oh, I can write this song with 5 chords and this is enough because I have a goal with what I'm expressing, and I don't need to have 50 chords. Right, and this is enough, So that's a really interesting, it's a super cool time for me personally right now because I feel like I'm having some kind of awakening. And it's for the students that I have the privilege to, or the people that I have the privilege to work with, it's like I feel I'm doing for me what I've been used to doing for students, which is just trying to bring out the best in them. And now I'm finally like, okay, well, what's really the best in me? What can I bring out to be of service, and to really feel empowered and not feel like I'm in a constant state of like, well, I'm not a good enough singer, or I'm not a good enough writer, or I'm not a good enough this, or I'm not a good enough that. It's like, que porquería, going through your life not feeling good enough, right?
Right.
And so I'm excited to also help imprint, in whoever I get to work with, that they're enough, that what they have is enough, what they bring to the table is more than enough, So that's also exciting times.
I like it. It's you're. I think if I could distill that, it's finding the confidence within yourself to give it your everything and to tell that story. There might be someone that focuses on the technicality, but if you focus on the story, you're going to reach someone. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Storytelling, right? It really is all about that. It's like any kind of art form is storytelling. It's like y'all tell a story, every 2 hours with Rapscallions. When you guys do a show, you're telling a story. If you're telling your own story in your own life, I went to the store today and then this happened. It's all about telling, what story are we telling? And each kind of discipline has slightly different codes, but then they all relate. There's things that kind of pull them all together. And, not sure what the word is, but there's jargon or not codifiers, but there's
connectors?
Connectors, things like push and pull, loud, quiet, movement, stillness. There's things, and that this is shared film, movies, acting, music.
Yeah.
It's those elements are present in all of those things. And it's like,
for sure.
It's cool.
For sure.
And one of the fun things that we get to do when we interview people is, even if they're my good friends, you find out so much about them. And through that struggle or through that storytelling, you find various points of inspiration. Like, like you just said, it's like, I don't feel like I'm a guitar player. I don't feel like I'm this, but to us, when you play the guitar and we see you on stage, we're like, we're
like, wow,
he's good, And then when you're teaching us how to do stuff in theater, we're like, oh man, this is awesome, So
man. And you have that whole thing like, oh man, Monalisa taught me how to do this, so I want to do it right because I don't want her to tell me that I did it wrong because I'm gonna feel like I disappointed her.
Oh no. Too much pressure. Let's take that off, Joe.
What's your lemma when you're teaching the fight choreography? I always love that. It's smooth is
slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So take a deep breath.
It's like a lema para vida también. Slow is smooth, but smooth is fast. If you do things every day, you may feel you're moving slowly, but over time, it's like, oh, you're further along. Yeah, most people, especially for combat, they want to go fast. Or when you learn a new instrument, you want to go fast, and it takes time for your muscles to learn where you're going. And then I always like to access things, all of it through the breath, like because we're learning new habits. So when you're learning a a fight move, all it is, it's choreography. It's just dancing, but it's more important to how you're matching the breath to where you're doing a movement, because most people, you focus on the thing that you're doing and you forget about where your essence is. You forget to breathe. And we forget to be also patient with ourselves and want to take it slow in this world that demands instant gratification, things to be, you have 1 hour to stage this scene.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
You can work on a show, you can work on a moment, you can work on an entrance, on stage entrance for weeks, just on opening the door and coming in. And we don't take that time. Especially here, we don't take that time. Right. So it's like, I like to slow it down, take the time, and then just encourage everybody to breathe, because the movement will come if we remember to breathe and pair it that way. It'll happen on its own.
Right. You
So
do it with confidence. You do it with slow and steady. You do it with purpose, and then the action will come, and then the story will be told. How did you get into fight choreography? I always wanted to know about that. It's
crazy. I grew up watching movies with my dad, all these action movies, all these Schwarzenegger movies, and, Rocky Balboa, just tons of action movies. And I would have películas en mi cabeza of me wanting to do action movies, of me just be doing fight scenes. And when I get to college, I see that it's a discipline. It's called fight choreography. And that there's a society called the Society of American Fight Directors, the SAFD, that does it. And there happened to be classes in my university. And I was like, what? And when I took to it, it was just like, it felt very natural. And in terms of storytelling, because it's the most urgent form of acting that there is. Get to a moment on stage and you're either kissed or you're going to fight. Which one's it going to be? And if it's not the kiss, it's the fight. And then how do you tell that story? And that's typically where, as actors, we run out of resources because we're not taught how to do that. It's not even in the curriculum. Like here, it's not in the curriculum because we're still a young country. So it just came as a natural extension, learning how to do it. And then by the very nature, just starting to direct scenes. I started to direct scenes in college. The shows that I chose to direct, the 10-minute plays for my senior directorial class, had fighting in it. I needed to have fighting in it. And it was so funny because I had my fight teacher at the time come and look at it. David, can you please come and look at this fight? And he looked at it and he gave me some notes. And I said, no, we're not going to do it the way you say. I know it's fun to tell him, no, I don't like your way. And then funnily enough, he turned out to be a great, very inappropriately sexually with several students. So there was some reason that I was rejecting his advice, and I didn't understand on a conscious level why. But I was like,
right. No. It's not jiving.
But it was,
yeah.
But it's, funnily enough, once again, it's like I'm not within the Society of American Fight Directors, and there's several other fight associations. There's Fight Directors Canada. There's other places in Australia. There's other places throughout the world. And there's others that aren't even theatrical. They're film-based, or it's people who've been Navy SEALs who then go on to film and then actually teach how to fight and just change the technique a little bit so that the blows aren't really landing. And it's there's different, kind of ranks that you rise up into. And I saw the ceiling I could hit with the SAFT, and I decided to not pursue it. And now it's 25 years later that I understand it was a series of a whole bunch of men, a lot of frustrated nerds that were like, it was a weird infrastructure of power that I was not comfortable in. I realize that now. So I took I went as far with them as I kind of felt instinctually that I wanted to go, and then continually taking other fight courses in other places de manera puntual to keep myself fresh. I just started choreographing shows that had fights, and directors started calling me saying, hey, we have a fight in this show. And then funnily enough, male directors would call me in to do shows in the US that would have sex scenes, because these male directors didn't know how to speak to their female actresses, didn't know how to approach the moment. And there was inherent trust in me being a woman, because it's like me as a female artist, there's an inherent kind of safety that, it's instinctual. Most people feel more comfortable with temas sexuales around a woman than they do around men. So these men would step back, these 2 or 3 male directors would step back, allow me to come in, and I would work with actors on taking them to intimate moments that they needed to express on stage. And now, of course, it's about 3 to 4 years ago, we see the rise of intimacy direction, which is now crucial. Now you can't go onto a Hollywood set without having an intimacy director if there's a sex scene. But before, actors were being just pushed into, you have to do a sex scene, go. You have to kiss, go. And that's very similar to, Danica said, you have to do a stage fall, go. And people were getting hurt, and boundaries were being crossed, and inappropriate things were happening because this was not regulated. So it's all ultimately storytelling and direction. And so I find something very, very instinctual about telling a story through violence. And of course, now it's 25 years later, I look back and I think about how there was parts of me that were very unconscious. I was not conscious on how I was processing certain things. So for example, I staged a rape scene without ever questioning the director, questioning the play, questioning why this was being done, because it was literally, a fight director is the last thing a director thinks about. They forget that they have to stage it, that they forget that they have to have somebody else come in. So typically the production is already rolling. They haven't thought of this in pre-production. And then they're like, shoot, we need somebody, I'll be brought on. And it's too late to have this conversation. It's too late to challenge, why is this material being picked? Or can we alter this material? Because 10 to 15 years ago, there's just a lot more inappropriate stuff going on that we didn't have the language for, right? This is before Me Too. Right. So it's like, I look back now and I'm kind of horrified at how much I partook in continuing those femicide and female violation kind of, narratives. But that's kind of where I was at the time as well. And now I won't stage it unless I think it has to be absolutely staged. Same thing with nudity. I won't encourage it, or I won't, unless it absolutely has to be done, unless there's an actual point to it. So there's everything now is under a microscope in a way for me that it was not when I was coming up, when I was just pursuing things and taking the world as it was without questioning. Now it's a lot of questioning. Everything's going through a lens, and it's that's part of that kind of wokeness, consciousness raising. Because it's like, if I don't do that, the next generation, these Gen Zers who are coming up, way more woke than we ever will be. It's like, how do we access them? How do we continue to relate to them, and how do we protect them and protect the next layer of stories that are being told? Sure. So challenging those, and I feel that being a woman as a fight director and an intimacy director, being a woman in that field it's very important to continuously challenge the material that's coming up. So that's a kind of roundabout way of saying how I got into this. Like in terms of fight direction, it was something very instinctual, something very, when you're fighting, it's fight or flight. You're not thinking, you go into lizard brain, and there's something very adrenaline. It's about it when you're staging it, and when you're in it.
Yeah.
It's the highest form of urgency. It's very exciting to do. If that makes sense.
Now that fight associated, I imagine that's a very testosterone-filled area.
It's changing now. It's changing now. There's a ton of women now, and now there's also Intimacy Directors International (IDI), which is growing. It's like that for me. That's like one of my next steps where I want to take some classes, because it's growing, and it's kind of taking all of the arts that we know and it's just flipping it on its head. In terms of how we're exploring this material, new material coming up. Material. It's like at least in the U.S., like all of these theater companies, it's like, we got to get these male artistic directors out of the way. We need BIPOC, Black, Indigenous people of color. We need to tell BIPOC stories. We need to level out the people in the Junta Directiva. They need to be at least 50% BIPOC. So there's this kind of reckoning that's happening, which is taking some time, but it's an exciting time, and it needed to happen.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And, me, I'm a white male, I grew up that way. So, just to the people out there, if it makes you uncomfortable, you don't have to worry about always saying the right thing. It's more important that you talk about it and listen and try and find your way that way. When I worked with Monalisa, I don't think I ever saw you as a female fight director. I saw you as a teacher. So, so it's very interesting for me to talk to you about this and find out your struggles that you went through. It's illuminating too. I don't if I looked at you and I think of you as a very professional and as a teacher, the first thing that comes to mind isn't that you had to deal with difficult situations, you know. So
Yeah.
it's important that we're unearthing those things and talking about it. It's, you know, and you know, moving right along. I mean, what are some other areas? You know, we're talking about the fight industry and the intimacy industry. You're also a director and an actor. What kind of advice do you have to the young ladies out there about how to overcome or how to illuminate something that they might perceive an industry that might be against them? Do you have any advice about that?
Absolutely. It's whenever I work with and this is actually, it's also with whatever artist that I work with, male, female, non-binary, whatever gender it is, it's I work for self-advocacy, because I don't know if it's happened to you guys, but as actors, many times we feel like we're at the bottom rung of the ladder in terms of receiving information, when a
Mhm.
rehearsal is going to be, what's the
Mhm.
process when we go into the theater. So we are not treated with the respect that we actually deserve. And many times it's seen as a hierarchical director up here, you got the production staff, and then the actors are like, you will